Trader lights another cigarette. By now, the small interrogation room is split level with smoke. He leans forward and begins to speak, not dreamily or wistfully, but matter of fact, his arms folded, his eyes dipped. Sunday. It was Sunday. We did what we always do on Sunday. We slept late. I got up around 10:30 and made breakfast, scrambled eggs. We read the Times. You know how it is, detective? Dressing gowns. Her with the arts, me with the sports. We did an hour's work. We went out just before 2. We walked around. We had a beef sandwich at Maury's. We walked around Rodham Park. It was a beautiful day, cold and bright. We played tennis indoors at the Brogan. Jennifer won, as always. The score was 3-6, 6-7. We got back around 5:30. She made lasagna. I packed a bag. You're damn right you packed a bag. I don't understand you. We always spent Sunday nights apart. It was Sunday. I packed a bag. You're damn right you packed a bag. Because this was no ordinary Sunday, was it, Trader? Had you felt it coming? For how long? You were losing her, weren't you, Trader? She wanted out from under you, Trader. You could feel it. Maybe she was already seeing somebody else. Maybe not, but it was over. Oh, come on, man. It's every day. You know how it is, Professor. There are popular songs about it. Get on the bus, Gus. Drop off the key, Lee. But you weren't going to let that happen, were you, Trader? And I understand. Untrue. Not the case. False. You said her mood that day was what? Normal, cheerful, typically cheerful. Yeah, right. So after a typically cheerful day with her typically cheerful boyfriend, she waits until he leaves the house and puts 2 bullets in her head. 2 bullets? That surprises you? Yes. Doesn't it surprise you, detective? In the past, I have come into this interrogation room with damper ammo than I had on me now, and duly secured a confession. But not often. Men accused of wholesale slaughter, and not for the first time, proven killers with rap sheets as long as toilet rolls. Such men I have coated in sweat with nothing more than a single Caucasoid hair strand or half a Reebok footprint. It's simple. You do them with science. But science was what Trader was a philosopher of. I'm going to go in hard now, no quarter. Trader, at what point did you and the decedent have sex? What? The decedent tested positive for ejaculate, vaginal and oral. When did that happen? None of your business. Oh, it is my business, Trader. It's my job. And I'm now going to tell you exactly what happened that night. Because I know, Trader, I know. It's like I was there. You and her have the final argument, the final fight. It's over. But you wanted to make love to her that one last time, didn't you, Trader? And a woman, at such a moment, will let that happen. It's human to let that happen. One more time, on the bed, then on the chair. You finished on the chair, Trader. You finished it and fired the shot into her open mouth. 2 shots. You said 2 shots. Yes, I did, didn't I? Now I'm going to tell you a secret that you already know. See this? This is the finding from the autopsy. 3 shots, Trader. 3 shots. And let me tell you, that wipes out suicide. That wipes out suicide. So Mrs. Rolfe upstairs did it, or the little girl in the street did it, or you did it, Trader. Or you did it. The space around him goes gray and damp, and I feel the predator in me. He looks drunk. No, drugged. Like on speed, not hammered, but blocked. I would understand later what was happening in his head, the image that was forming there. I would understand because I would see it too. It was the look on his face made me ask him, how do you feel about Jennifer right now, right this minute? Homicidal. Come again? You heard me. Good, Trader, I think we're getting there. And that's how you felt on the night of March 4th, wasn't it, Trader? No. All the hours I've spent in the interrogation room over the years are stacking up on me, I feel. All the hours, all the fluxes and recurrences of the heaviest kinds of failing. It's the things you have to hear and keep on hearing from your own lips also. I have a witness that puts you outside the house at 7:35, looking distressed, mad, riled up. Sound familiar, Trader? Yes. The time and the mood. Now, my witness says she heard the shots before you came out the door. Before. Sound about right, Trader? Wait. Okay, sure, I'll wait, because I understand. I understand the pressure you were under. I understand what she was putting you through. And why you had to do what you did. Any man might have done the same. Sure, I'll wait. Because you won't be telling me anything I don't already know. With its tin ashtray, its curling phone book, its bare 40-watt, the interrogation room doesn't have the feel of a confessional. In here, the guilty man is not seeking absolution or forgiveness. He's seeking approval. Grim approval. Like a child, he wants out of his isolation. He wants to be welcomed back into the mainstream, whatever he's done. I have sat on this same honky metal chair and routinely said, with a straight face, no, with indignant fellow feeling, well, that explains it. Your mother-in-law had been sick for how long without dying? And you're supposed to take that lying down? I have sat here and said, enough is enough. You're telling me the baby woke up crying again? So you taught it a lesson? Sure you did. Come on, man, how much shit can you take? Give Trader Faulkner a reverse baseball cap, a stick of gum, and a bad shave, and I'd be leaning forward over the table and saying again, absolutely as a matter of routine, it was the tennis, wasn't it? It was that fucking tie break. The lasagna was as lousy as ever, and then she rounds it all off by giving you that kind of head. I cross myself inside and vow to go the extra mile for Colonel Tom and give it 100% like I always do. Take your time, Trader, and consider this while you think. Like I said, we've all been there, Trader. Think it hasn't happened to me? You give them years. You give them your life. And next thing you know, you're on the street. She used to tell you she couldn't live without you. Now she's saying you ain't even shit. I can understand how it feels to lose a woman like Jennifer Rockwell. You're thinking about the men who will be taking your place, and they won't be slow in coming because she was hot, wasn't she, Trader? Yeah, I know the type. She'll fuck her way through your friends. Then she'll get to your brothers. In the sack, she'll soon be doing them those nice favors you know all about. She would, Trader. She would. Now listen, let's reach the bottom line. Dying words, Trader. The special weight as testimony of dying words. What are you saying, Detective? I'm saying the dispatcher's call came through at 19:35. We reached the scene minutes later. And guess what? She was still there, Trader. And she named you. Anthony Silvera heard it. John Makatich heard it. I heard it. She gave you up. How about that, Trader? There, the cunt even gave you up. We've been in here for 55 minutes. His head's down. As evidence, a confession will tend to lose its power in step with the length of the interrogation. Yes, Your Honor, after a couple of weeks in there, he came clean. But I am mentally ready to go on for 6 hours, for 8, for 10, for 15. Say it, Trader, just say it. Okay, I'm going to ask you to submit to a neutron activation test. This will establish if you have recently used a firearm. Will you sit the polygraph? Lie detector? Because I think you ought to know what the next stage is in all this. Trader, you're going before a grand jury. Know what that is? Yes, I'm going to grand jury you, Trader. Yes, I am. Okay. Let's start from the beginning. We're going to go through all this a few more times. He looks up slowly, and his face is clear. His expression is clear, complicated, but clear. And suddenly I know two things. First, that he's innocent. Second, that if he wants to, he can prove it. As it happens, Detective Houlihan, I do know what a grand jury is. It's a hearing to establish whether a case is strong enough to go to trial. That's all. You probably think I think it's the Supreme Court. Same as all the other befuddled bastards that come through here. This is so pathetic. Oh, Mike, you poor bitch, listen to you. But it's not Mike Houlihan talking, it's Tom Rockwell. And the poor sap ought to blush for what he's just put you through. It's also kind of great. I mean, this whole thing is also kind of great. Last week I sat down with maybe 10 or 12 people, one after the other. My mother, my brothers, my friends, her friends. I kept opening my mouth and nothing happened, not a word. But I'm talking now, and let's please go on talking. I don't know how much you've told me is just plain bullshit. I'm assuming the ballistics document is not a hoax or a forgery, and I'll have to live with what it says. Maybe you'll be good enough to tell me now what's true and what isn't. Mike, you've tied yourself up into all kinds of knots trying to make a mystery of this thing. It's garbage, as you know. Some little mystery, all neat and cute. But there's a real mystery here, an enormous mystery. When I say I feel homicidal, I'm not lying. On the night she died, my feelings were what they always were, devoted and secure. But now, Mike, this is what happened. A woman fell out of a clear blue sky. And you know something? I wish I had killed her. I want to say, book me, take me away, chop my head off. I wish I'd killed her, open and shut, and no holes, because that's better than what I'm looking at. If you peered in now, through the meshed glass, it wouldn't seem such a strange way for things to end, in this room. Glimpsing this scene, a murder police would nod his head and sigh, and move on. Suspect and interrogator have joined hands on the table. Both are shedding tears. I shed tears for him and tears for her. And also tears for myself I shed. Because of the things I've done to other people in this room. Because of the things this room has done to me. It's pulled me into every kind of funny shape and size. It's left a coating on my body, everywhere, even inside. Like the coating I used to expect to see, some mornings, all over my tongue. March 14. I slept late and was woken around noon by another delivery from Colonel Tom. A dozen red roses with thanks, apologies, and love. Also a sealed binder. Expedited and probably edited by Colonel Tom. This was the autopsy report. I'd seen the movie, now I had to read the review. It took a couple of pots of coffee and half a package of cigarettes before I could swim free of the liver haze that had come down on me during the night like gruel. I showered also, and it must have been close to 2 before I sat myself down on the couch in my towel dressing gown. I have this tape I like that Tobe made up for me. 8 different versions of Night Train. Oscar Peterson, Georgie Fame, Mose Allison, James Brown. We think of it as kind of a hymn to the low rent. The rent's nothing. I mean, you don't notice it. You notice the night train, but you don't notice the rent. So I had that playing softly in the corner as I wrenched at the red tape. Spend 10 years fucked up. Spend 10 years blowing on your ice cream. And you're going to have a 10-year hangover with another 20-some waiting in line. Which is not to say that I wasn't feeling all the extra from the day before. I felt fat and butter-colored and already sweaty or still damp from the bathroom haze. Haec est corpus. This is the body. Jennifer, your height was 5'10", your weight 141. Your stomach contained a fully digested meal of scrambled eggs, lox, and bagels, and another meal only partly digested of lasagna. Lividity was only where it ought to have been. No one moved your body. No one arranged you. Blowback. On your right hand and forearm were found microscopic particles of blood and tissue. We call this blowback. 2, your right hand had undergone cadaveric spasm, or spontaneous and temporary rigor mortis. The curve of the trigger and the patterning of the butt were embedded in your flesh. That's how tight you gripped. Jennifer, you killed yourself. It's down. March 16. At CID, people aren't talking about it. Like we took a beating on this one. But everyone now knows for sure that Jennifer Rockwell committed a crime on the night of March 4th. If she'd slid into the car and driven 100 miles due south to the state line, then she could have died innocent. In our city, though, what she did was a crime. It's a crime. The perfect crime, as always, in a way. She didn't escape detection, but she escaped all punishment. And she escaped public disgrace, if disgrace is what you want to call it. Ask the coroner who absolved her. Go far enough back and a coroner was just a tax collector, to stay with the Latin of death, coronae custodiam regis, keeper of the king's pleas. He taxed the dead, and suicides lost all they had, like other felons. These days, in this city, the coroner works out of the chief medical examiner's office. His name is Jeff Bright, and he's a pal of Tom Rockwell's. Bright returned a finding of undetermined. Colonel Tom, I know, pushed for accidental, but he settled for undetermined, as we all did. I said I never felt judged by her, even when I was defenseless against all censure. And as of this writing, I feel no need to judge Jennifer Rockwell. With suicide, as with all the great collapses, exits, desertions, surrenders, it gets so there isn't any choice. And there's always enough pain. I keep thinking back to that time when I was holed up at the Rockwell's house, sweating out my soul into the bedding. She, too, had her troubles. At 19, slimmer, gawkier, wider-eyed, she, too, was under siege. I remember now. One of those late adolescent convulsions with the parents pacing. There was a spurned boyfriend who wouldn't or couldn't let go. Yes, and a girlfriend, too. What was it? Drugs? A housemate of hers who'd also flipped out. Jennifer would give a jolt every time the phone or the doorbell rang. But yet, as sad and scared as she was, she would come and read to me and tend to me. She didn't judge me, and I don't judge her. Here's what happened. A woman fell out of a clear blue sky. Yes, well, I know all about these clear blue skies. March 18. At the funeral then, no color guard, no 21-gun salute, no bagpipes. A couple of white hats, some gold braid and chest candy, and the full church service, with the little gray guy in his vestments whose language was saying, "We take over now. Commit her to us, to this, the green fields and the church in the middle distance, its spire pointing heavenward." No, this wasn't a police occasion. We were outnumbered. There we all stood, with our dropped eyes and our shared defeat, surrounded by an army of civilians. It seemed like the whole campus was in attendance, and I'd never seen so many youthful and well-proportioned faces made hideous by grief. Trader was there, close to the family group. His brothers stood beside Jennifer's brothers. Tom and Miriam faced the grave, motionless like painted wood. Earth, receive the strangest guest. In the dispersal area, I slipped away toward the yews for a dab of makeup and a cigarette. Grief brings out the taste of cigarettes better than coffee, better than booze, better than sex. When I turned again, I saw that Miriam Rockwell was approaching me. Under her black headscarf, she looked like a beautiful beggar from the alleys of Casablanca or Jerusalem. Beautiful, but definitely asking, not giving. And I knew then that her daughter wasn't done with me yet, not by a damn sight. We held each other, partly for the warmth, because the sun itself felt cold that day, like a ball of yellow ice chilling the sky. With Miriam, physically, there seemed to be a little less of her to heft in your arms, but she wasn't obviously reduced, scaled down like Colonel Tom, standing some distance off waiting, who looked about 5'3". Less crazy, though. Sadder, more sunken, but less crazy. She said, "Mike, I think this is the first time I've seen your legs." I said, "Well, enjoy." We looked down at them, my legs, in their black hose, and it felt okay to say, "Where did Jennifer get her legs from? Not from you, girl, you're like me. Jennifer's legs belong to some kind of racehorse. Mine are like road drills on casters, and Miriam's aren't a whole lot better." I used to say, let her for the rest of her life wonder where she got her figure from. Let her try to piece it together. Her figure and her face. The legs from Rhiannon, from Tom's mother. There was a silence, which I lived intensely with my cigarette. This was my moment of rest. Mike, there's something we now know about Jennifer that we want you to know about, too. You ready for this? I'm ready. You didn't see the toxicology report. Tom made it disappear, Mike. Jennifer was on lithium. Lithium. I absorbed it, this lithium. In our city, in Drugburg here, a police quickly gets to know her pharmaceuticals. Lithium is a light metal with commercial applications in lubricants, alloys, chemical reagents. But lithium carbonate, I think it's a kind of salt, is a mood stabilizer. There goes our clear blue sky. Because lithium is used in the treatment of what I have heard described with accuracy and justice as the Mike Tyson of mental disorders, manic depression. I said, "You never knew she had any kind of a problem like that?" "No." "You talked to Trader?" "I didn't tell Trader. With Trader, I kind of talked around it, but no, Jennifer. Who do you know as steady as her?" "Yeah, but people do things without people knowing. People kill, bury, divorce, marry, change sex, go nuts, give birth without people knowing. People have triplets in the bathroom without people knowing." Mike, it's funny, you know. I'm not saying it's any better, but with this we turned some kind of corner. Colonel Tom? He's back. I thought we'd lost him there, but he's back. Miriam turned. There he stood, her husband. The heavy underlip, the scored orbits, like he was on lithium now. His mood was stabilized. He was gazing steadily through the universal fug. "See, Mike, we were looking for a why, and I guess we found one, but suddenly we don't have a who. Who was she, Mike?" I waited. "Answer that, Mike, do it. If not you, who? Henrik Overmars? Tony Silvera? Take the time. Tom will push you some compassionate. Do it. It has to be you, Mike. Why? You're a woman." And I said yes. I said yes, knowing that what I'd find wouldn't be any kind of Hollywood catch-up or bullshit, but something absolutely somber. Knowing that it would take me through my personal end zone and all the way to the other side. Knowing, too, because I think I did know even then, that the death of Jennifer Rockwell was offering the planet a piece of new news, something never seen before. I said, "You're sure you want an answer?" "Tom wants an answer. He's a police, and I'm his wife. It's okay, Mike, you're a woman, but I think you're tough enough." "Yeah," I said, and my head dropped. "I'm tough enough." And getting less proud of it every hour. She turned again toward the waiting figure of her husband and slowly nodded. Before she moved to join him, and before I followed with my head still down, Miriam said, "Who the hell was she, Mike?" I think we all have this image in our heads now, and the sounds. We have these frames of film. Tom and Miriam have them. I have them. In the small interrogation room, I watched them form on the other side of Trader's eyes, these frames of film that show the death of Jennifer Rockwell. You wouldn't see her. You'd see the wall behind her head. Then the first detonation and its awful flower. Then a beat. Then a moan and a shudder. Then the second shot. Then a beat, a gulp, a sigh. Then the third. You wouldn't see her. Part 2. Fellow d'essai. The psychological autopsy. Suicide is the night train, speeding your way to darkness. You won't get there so quick, not by natural means. You buy your ticket and you climb on board. That ticket costs everything you have, but it's just a one-way. This train takes you into the night and leaves you there. It's the night train. Now I feel that someone is inside of me, like an intruder, her flashlight playing. Jennifer Rockwell is inside of me trying to reveal what I don't want to see. Suicide is a mind-body problem that ends violently and without any winner. I've got to slow this shit down. I've got to slow it all down. What I'm doing here with my ballpoint, my tape recorder, and my PC, it's the same as what Paulie No was doing in the ME's office with his clamp, his electric saw, his tray full of knives. Only we call it the psychological autopsy. I can do this. I am trained to do this. Recall. For a time, though only a short time, and only once to my face, they used to call me Suicide Mike. This was thought to be too offensive, even for downtown, and they soon abandoned it. Offensive not to the poor bastards found slumped in car seats in sealed garages, or half submerged in crimson bathtubs. Offensive to me. It meant I was fool enough to take any bum call, because a suicide didn't do a damn thing for your solve rate or your overtime. On the midnights, the phone would ring, and Mac or O'Boy would be pouting over the cupped receiver and saying, "How about you handle this one, Mike? It's an SD, and I need dough for my mother's operation." A suspicious death, not the murder he craves. For Little Boy Lost here also believes that suicides are an insult to his forensic gifts. He wants a regular perpetrator, not some schmuck who a century ago would have been buried at the Four Corners under a heap of rocks with a stake through his heart. Then for a time, a short time, as I say, they'd hold out the phone and deadpan, "It's for you, Mike. It's a suicide." And then I'd yell at them. But they weren't wrong, maybe. Maybe it moved and compelled me more than it did them. To crouch under the bridge on the riverbank, to stand in a row house stairwell while a shadow rotated slowly on the wall, and think about those who hate their own lives and choose to defy the terrible providence of God. As part of my job, I completed, as many others did, the course called Suicide, Harsh Conclusions, at Pete, and followed that up, again on City Time, with a refresher lecture series on patterns of suicide at CC. I came to know the graphs and diagrams of suicide, their pie segments, their concentric circles, their color codes, their arrows, their snakes and ladders. With my suicide prevention tours back in the 44, plus the 100-some suicides I worked in the show, I came to know not just the physical aftermaths, but the basic suicide picture ante-mortem. And Jennifer doesn't belong here. She doesn't belong. I have my folders out on the couch this Sunday morning, going through my notes to see what I got. In all cultures, risk of suicide increases with age, but not steadily. The diagonal graph line seems to have a flattish middle section like a flight of stairs with a landing. Statistically, for what stats are worth around here, if you make it into your 20s, you're on level ground until the risk bump of the midlife. Jennifer was 28. About 50% of suicides have tried before. They're parasuicides or pseudo-suicides. About 75% give warning. About 90% have histories of aggression, histories of escape. Jennifer hadn't tried before. So far as I know, she did not give warning. All her life, she saw things through. Suicide is very, very means-dependent. Take the means away, toxic domestic gas, for instance, and the rate plummets. Jennifer didn't need gas. Like many another American, she owned a gun. These are my notes. What about their notes, and what percentage leave them? Some studies say 70%, others say 30%. Suicide notes, it is assumed, are often spirited away by the decedent's loved ones. Suicides, as we have seen, are often camouflaged, smudged, snowed. Axiom: suicides generate false data. Jennifer apparently did not leave a suicide note, but I know she wrote one. I just feel this. It may run in families, but it's not inherited. It is a pattern or a configuration. It's not a predisposition. If your mother kills herself, it won't help, and it opens a door. Here are some other do's and don'ts, or don'ts anyway. Don't work around death. Don't work around pharmaceuticals. Don't be an immigrant. Don't be a German just off the boat. Don't be a Romanian. Don't be Japanese. Don't live where the sun doesn't shine. Don't be an adolescent homosexual. 1 in 3 will attempt. Don't be a nonagenarian Los Angelian. Don't be an alcoholic. It's suicide on the installment plan, anyway. Don't be a schizophrenic. Disobey those voices in your head. Don't be depressed. Lighten up. Don't be Jennifer Rockwell. And don't be a man. Don't be a man, whatever you do. Tony Silvera was, of course, talking through his ass when he said that suicide was a babe thing. To the contrary, suicide is a dude thing. Attempting is a woman thing. They're more than twice as likely to do that. Completing is a man thing. They're more than twice as likely to do that. There's only one day in the year when it's safer to be male. Mother's Day. Mother's Day is the day for fellow décès. How come? I wonder. Is it the all-you-can-eat brunch at the Quality Inn? No. The suicides are the women who skipped the lunch. They're the women who skipped the kids. Don't be Jennifer Rockwell. The question is, but why not? Stressors and precipitants. The first person I'm going to be wanting to talk to is Hy Tulkinghorn, Jennifer's physician. Over the years, I've come across this old party a bunch of times at the Rockwells, barbecues, cocktails on Christmas Eve. And recall, Colonel Tom had him in to look me over when I was drying out there, DTing for a week in one of the children's bedrooms on the first floor. Which I don't remember a whole lot about. Small, bald, clean-eyed Tulkinghorn's the only kind of elderly medic who over time seems to direct more and more of his doctoring know-how inward to keep his own little show on the road. The other kind of elderly medic is a drunk, or he's drying out. When I was drying out, Jennifer used to come into the room in the evenings. She'd sit in the corner and read to me. She'd feel my brow and fetch me water. Now, I had called Tulkinghorn's office on March 8th, almost 2 weeks ago. And how about this? The old prick was on a poker cruise in the Caribbean. So I had his secretary page him, and he came squawking in from the straight flush. Told him the news and said I was following up on it. He said to make an appointment. I called his office again and got talking. It turned out that it isn't Tulkinghorn who plays poker, it's his wife. He gets nice and tan on a lounger while she's crouching at a table in the saloon, blowing the second home on her two-pair. Hy Tulkinghorn works out of a Gothic apartment block near Alton Park, over in the 37. I sat there in the narrow corridor like a patient, with an ear sufferer on one side of me and a throat sufferer on the other. The parched secretary sat in her cubbyhole, pushing paper around and answering the phone. Doctor's office. Younger guys in smocks, like interns, sloped in and out with clipboards and vials. Walls of folders and binders, floor to ceiling. What? Fading biopsy reports, dust-coated urinalyses. Mr. Ear and Mr. Throat both groaned raggedly when the woman nodded me through. I passed from the corridor shadows into the Germanic tang of Talkinghorn surgery and the usual smell of mouthwash. I'd like to be able to say that High's tan made him look like death warmed up, but he just twinkled away, self-sufficiently enough there behind his desk. Now this I do remember. When I was hallucinating in the little room at Colonel Tom's, visited by visitors, some of them real, some of them not, and wondering how the hell I was going to get through the next half hour, I'd sometimes think, I know, I'll fuck one of those ghosts. That'll kill some time. But I didn't want to fuck High Talkinghorn. He has too much death knowledge, soberly absorbed in his pale blue eyes. Careful here. Don't say hi. Doctor. Detective, take a seat. How was the cruise? Your wife make money? She broke about even. I'm sorry I missed the funeral. I tried to get a flight from Port of Spain. I've talked with Colonel and Mrs. Rockwell. I'll be doing what I can there. Then you know why I'm here. We paused. I opened my notebook and looked down at the page. I was suddenly very impressed by my jottings of the night before, which said, nature of the disorder, reactive, non-reactive, affective, ideational, psychological, organic, from within or without. I began. Dr. Talkinghorn, what kind of patient was Jennifer Rockwell? She wasn't. Excuse me? What was her medical history? She didn't have one. I don't follow. As far as I'm aware, she never had a day's illness in her life, except, of course, in infancy. Her checkups were a joke. When was the last time you saw her? Saw her here? About a year ago. Was she under the care of anybody else? I'm not sure I understand. She had a dentist and a gynecologist, a Dr. Arlington. She's a friend of mine, same story there. As a specimen, Jennifer was close to phenomenal. Then why was she on lithium, Doctor? Lithium? She was not on lithium, Detective. See this? This is toxicology. She have a psychiatrist? Certainly not. I'd have been notified, you know that. He took the Xerox sheet from my hand and surveyed it with indignation. With quiet indignation. I knew what he was thinking. Already he was thinking, if she didn't get it from a professional, then where did she get it? The next thought being, you can get anything in this city. Easy. Yeah, tell me about it. And not from a hoodie on a corner, but from a smiling piece of shit in a lab coat. The names of the drugs out there can run on for 25 syllables. A silence elapsed, a silence of the kind that must be pretty frequent in his line of work. In delivery rooms, over test results in the reflected light of X-ray screens. And then Dr. Talkinghorn gave up on Jennifer. With the slightest flex of his shoulders, he let Jennifer Rockwell go. Yes, well, at least you're getting a pattern here. She was medicating her own head. That's always delusional. How so? It's like mental hypochondria. Psychotropic drugs would tend to intensify that. You'd get a spiral effect. Tell me, Doc, how surprised were you when you heard? Surprised. Oh, sure, and I was sick for Tom and Miriam. But at my age, in this profession, I'm not sure I'm capable of astonishment. And I wanted to say, you guys kill yourself a lot, don't you? You do. Your rate is 3 times higher than Joe Schmo's. Shrinks top the list at 6 times higher. Then, in descending order, you got vets, pharmacists, dentists, farmers, and doctors. What's the connection here, I wonder? Exposure to the natural processes of death, disease, and decay, maybe? Or just exposure to suffering, often dumb suffering. And availability of means. The studies talk about role strain, but police have role strain too, and although we're prone to suicide, we're nothing like these fucking kamikazes in their sky blue smocks. Retirement time sees all of us most at risk. I think it's to do with power, with the daily exercise of power and what happens to you when it's taken away. I looked up from my notes. Something shifted in Talkinghorn's focus. He contemplated me. I was no longer his interrogator. I was Detective Mike Houlihan, whom he knew, a police and an alcoholic, and a patient. His washed eyes now regarded me with approval, but a cold approval, one that gave no lift to the spirit, to his or to mine. You've kept yourself in shape, Detective? Yes, sir. No recurrences of that nonsense? None. Good. You've seen just about everything too, haven't you? Just about. Yes, sir. I believe I have. When I got back home, I dug out the list I'd compiled on my return from the funeral. Briskly, boldly, this list is headed stressors and precipitants. but what follows now seems vague as rain. Number 1, significant other, traitor. Things he didn't see. Number 2, money. Number 3, job. 4, physical health. 5, mental health, nature of disorder. A, psychological. B, ideational organic. C, metaphysical. 6, deep secret, trauma, childhood. 7, other, significant other. Now I cross out 4, which leaves me wondering what I mean by 5, C, and thinking about 7. Is Mr. 7 her lithium connect? A sense of an ending. Death scenes are as delicate as orchids. Like death chemistry itself, they seem committed to the business of deterioration and decay. But my death scene has eternal youth. It still has the sash on the door, "Do not cross." I cross. The blood on the bedroom wall looks black now, with just the faintest undercoat of rust. At the top of the splatter, near the ceiling, the smallest drops gather like tadpoles, their tails pointing away from the site of the wound. A rectangular section of the wall has been removed by the science team, right in the middle of the base smear where the bullet hole was. Then the downward swipe from the wedged towel. I think of Trader and find that I am contemplating the scene as largely an interior decoration problem. I want to get out the mop and make a start on it myself. When he returns, will he be able to sleep in this room? How many licks of paint will he want? Surprisingly, I think I'm finding a friend in Trader Faulkner. Less than a week after I tried my level best to flake him into the lethal injection, I am finding a friend in Trader Faulkner. I talked with him at the wake at the Rockwells. It is his key I hold in my hand. He has told me where to look for everything. Jennifer kept all her personal papers in a locked blue trunk in the living area, and I have a key for that too. But first I quickly covered the apartment from room to room just to get a feel. Post-its on the mirror above the telephone, magnetic Scrabble pieces on the fridge door saying milk and filters, a bathroom cabinet containing cosmetics and shampoos and a few patented medicines. In the bedroom closet, her sweaters are stacked in polythene covers. Her underwear drawer is a galaxy, star bright. It used to be said, not so long ago, that every suicide gave Satan special pleasure. I don't think that's true. Unless it isn't true either that the devil is a gentleman. If the devil has no class at all, then okay, I agree. He gets a bang out of suicide, because suicide is a mess. As a subject for study, suicide is perhaps uniquely incoherent, and the act itself is without shape and without form. The human project implodes, contorts inward, shameful, infantile, writhing, gesturing. It's a mess in there. But I look around now, and what I'm seeing is settled order. Tobe and myself are both slobs, and when a pair of slobs shack up together, you don't get slob times 2. You get slob squared. You get slob cubed. And this place, to me, feels like a masterpiece of system, grooved yet unemphatic, with nothing rigid in it. Homes of the self-slaughtered have a sullen and defeated aspect. The abandoned belongings seem to say, weren't we good enough for you? Weren't we any good? But Jennifer's apartment looks as though it is expecting its mistress to return, to fly in through the door. And against all expectation, I start to be happy, after weeks with a sour twist in my gut. The building is freestanding, and even after a half hour, you can feel the sun moving around it and changing the angles of all the shadows. Trader and Jennifer, they had 2 bureaus, 2 workstations, in the living room, not 10 feet apart. On his desk, there's a sheet of typing paper with stuff like this written on it. P parenthetical x equals a sub 0 plus a sub 1 x plus a sub 2 x squared plus a sub 3 x to the 3rd power plus. On her desk, there's a sheet of typing paper with stuff like this written on it. X equals 30 over 10-21 m equals 3 times 10 to the 22nd power m. And you think, hey, he heard her. She heard him. They talk the same language. Isn't that what we're all supposed to want? The peer lover 10 feet away. Silence, endeavor, common cause. Isn't that what we're all supposed to want? For him, a woman in the room. For her, a man in the room 10 feet away. I popped the blue trunk. It contained 9 photo albums and 9 ribbon bundles of letters, all of them from Trader. This is their history, illustrated and annotated. And of course, ordered. Ordered especially, or ordered anyway. With a premeditated suicide, there is generally some kind of half-assed attempt to put things in order. To attempt completion. To try for completion. But I didn't get that vibe here, and I figured that the Trader Shrine had been up and running since year one. I hauled it all out and got myself down there on the rug, starting at the beginning. His first letter or note is dated June 1986. Dear Miss Rockwell, forgive me, but I couldn't help noticing you on Court 2 this afternoon. What a beautiful all-court game you have, and what a toreador backhand. I wonder if sometime I could prevail upon you to give me a game or a lesson. I was the dark-haired, bow-legged hacker on Court 1. And so it proceeds. That was quite a set of tennis, with little memos about lectures and lunches. Soon the album is taking up the story. There they are on the court, individually, and then together. Then complication falling away, then sex, then love, then vacations. Jennifer in a ski suit, Jennifer on the beach. Man, what a bod. At 20, she looked like a model in an ad for those cereals that taste great but also make you shit right. Bronze Trader at her side. Then graduation. Then cohabitation. And still, the handwritten letters keep coming. The words keep coming, the words a woman wants to hear. No dashed-off faxes from Trader, faxes which fade in 6 months like contemporary love. No scrawled reminders propped against the toaster such as I get from Tobe, and used to get from Dennis, from John, from Sean, from Dwayne. Get some toilet paper, for Christ's sake. That wouldn't do for Jennifer. She got a fucking poem every other day. Complication? Complication fell away and did not recur. But complication there certainly was. Its theme? Mental instability. Not hers, not his. Other people's. And I have to say that I was very, very surprised to see my own name featuring here. I prepared myself for what they're now calling a segue. But a lot of this stuff I already knew. The dumped boyfriend, the freaked-out flatmate. The trouble begins at the outset when Trader starts getting serious. There's this jock named Hume who has to be eased out of the picture. Big man on campus, can't take the strain. So what he does is present Jennifer with the spectacle of his collapse, etc. Then the other problem, unconnected to this or to anything else in the outside world. A bunkie of Jennifer's, a girl called Phillida, wakes up one morning with black smoke coming out of her ears. Suddenly, this nerdy little chick is either gaping at the bathroom wall or out there howling at the moon. Jennifer can't cope with being around her and bolts back to the Rockwell home. And who does she find there, stinking up her brother's bedroom and babbling at the pillows? But Detective Mike Houlihan. Jesus Christ, Trader quotes her as saying, "I'm surrounded." Here's a frustration with a one-way correspondence. The narrative doesn't unfold. What you get is just a jumping status quo. Astonishing developments simply and smugly become how things are. Still, Trader spends a lot of ink on Jennifer around now, coaxing her out of the notion that nobody and nothing can be trusted. Sanity, or at least logic, returns. You can finish the stories. The boyfriend, Hume, drops out for a time and does some drugs. But he's readmitted and comes through civilized. He and Jennifer even manage an okay lunch. Thickly sedated, Phillida gets to graduate. Some collateral family member takes her in. References to her are frequent for a while, then trail away. And Mike Houlihan recovers. It is approvingly noted that even someone with a background such as hers can eventually patch things together with the right kind of understanding and support. While Trader and Jennifer, of course, watch these heavy clouds pass over and cruise on up into their clear blue sky. Now, the bureaus and the filing cabinets and the endless shite of citizenship, of existence. Bills and wills, deeds, leases, taxes. Oh man, the water torture of staying alive. That's a good reason to end it, confronted with all this, who wouldn't want to rest and sleep? 2 hours on my knees brings me only 2 mild surprises. First, Trader, on top of everything else, is a man of independent means. I seem to remember that his daddy was big in the construction business during the Alaska boom. Here, anyway, is Trader's modest portfolio, his bonds and shelters, his regular and generous donations to charity. Second, Jennifer never opened her bank statements. The fiercest-looking wallets of crap from the IRS lie wrenched open on her desk. But she never opened her bank statements. Here they all are, backed up from last November and still sealed. Well, I soon rectified that. and find prudent outgoings plus a nice little sum on deposit. So why not read this good news? Then I get it. She never opened her statements because she never had to do anything about them. These were letters that needed no answer. That's what you call a sufficiency. That's putting dough in its proper place. What to me feels the most intimate thing I have saved to last. Her worn leather handbag, left slung over the shoulder of a kitchen chair. This shoulder is like her shoulder, erect, wide-spanned, with the gentlest inward curve. Jesus, my bag, which I seem to spend half my life scrabbling around in, is like a town dump that's gone through a car compactor. I've no idea what's going on in there. Mice and mushrooms flourish among the fenders and spare tires, but Jennifer, naturally, traveled light and fragrant. Boar's bristle hairbrush, moisturizer, lip gloss, eye drops, blush, pen, purse, keys, also her date book. And if what I'm looking for is a sense of an ending, then here I get it big time. I flick the pages. Jennifer wasn't the kind of busybody who faced a thicket of commitments every waking hour, but for the first 2 months of the year, there's plenty happening. Appointments, schedules, deadlines, reminders. And then on March 2nd, the Friday, it all stops dead. There's nothing else for the whole year, except this, under March 23. AD, which is tomorrow. Who or what is AD? Advertisement? Anno Domini? I don't know. Alan Dershowitz? Before I left, as I was closing the blue trunk, I took another look at Trader's last letter. It was among the loose papers and photos yet to be gathered and organized, and it was dated February 17 this year. The postmark says Philadelphia, where Trader was attending a 2-day conference on the mind and physical laws. It's almost embarrassing. I can hardly bring myself to quote from it. Already the eastern side of every moment of mine is lit by you and the thought of tomorrow. I love you. I miss you. I love you. No, Jennifer Rockwell didn't have a problem with this boyfriend. He's perfect. He's everything we all want. So what I'm thinking now is she must have had a problem with the other boyfriend. Photograph on a bookcase. It's graduation. Jennifer and 3 friends in gowns, all tall but bent with laughter, laughing so hard they look fucked up on something. And the little crazy one, Phillida, trapped in the frame, cowering in the corner of it. Funny thing about the apartment, took me a while to realize what? No TV. And a funny thought on the way out. Suddenly I'm thinking, but she's a cop's daughter. This means something. This has to matter. Like all police, I guess I'm state-of-the-art cynical on the one hand. And on the other, I don't judge. We never judge. We may make the roust and make the collar. We may bust you, but we won't judge you. Fresh from the latest slaughterhouse, that kraut brute, Henrik Overmars, will listen to a drunk's hard luck story with tears in his eyes. I've seen old Ten O'Boy give his last fin to some self-pitying asshole at Patty's, some guy whose entire acquaintance has drawn down the shade on him years ago. Keith Booker can't pass a bum on the street. No, every time he'll slip him a buck and squeeze his hand. I'm the same way. We're the softest touch. Is it because we're plain brutal sentimental? I don't think so. We don't judge you, we can't judge you, because whatever you've done, it isn't even close to the worst. You're great. You didn't fuck a baby and throw it over the wall. You don't chop up 80-year-olds for laughs. You're great. Whatever you've done, we know all the things you might have done and haven't done. In other words, our standards for human behavior are desperately low. Having said all that, I was due for a shock tonight. I felt what I so seldom feel. Scandalized. I felt shock all over my body. Forget about a hot flush. I practically had the menopause in one fell swoop. I'm back at the apartment, cooking dinner for Tobe and myself. The phone goes and a male voice says, "Yeah, can I speak with Jennifer Rockwell, please?" I said in a receptionist sing-song. "Who's calling?" "Arnold, it's Arn." "One moment." I'm standing there tensed in the kitchen heat, tell myself to work on what I was doing already. Keep your voice pitched up, sound like a woman. "Actually, hello again. Actually, Jennifer's out of town tonight, and I'm handling her messages here. I have her date book here. Hey, were you guys meant to get together tomorrow sometime?" "That's what I'm hoping." "Here we go. Arnold starts with a D. Debs, Arn Debs." "Right. Yeah, she just wants to check where and when. Would around 8 be good? Here at the Mallard, in the decoy room?" "You got it." That evening over dinner, I hardly said a word. And that night, after lights out, what happens but Tobe comes across. This is no impulse thing with Tobe. It's a task of major administration, like the King Arthur movies, winching the knight up onto horseback. But it was all very gentle, all very sweet and dear, as I need it to be now. Now I'm sober. Before I liked it to be rough, or I thought I did. These days, I hate the idea of all that. Enough with the rough, I think. Enough rough. The night train woke me around 4:15. I lay there for a time with my eyes open, no chance of re-entry. So I got out of bed and made coffee and sat and smoked over my notes. I'm upset. I'm upset anyway, but I'm also pissed about something personal. Here's what. The remarks and descriptions in Trader's letters. Why? They weren't unsympathetic, and I accept that I must have been a pretty pitiful sight back then, sweating it out behind drawn blinds. What am I concerned about? My privacy? Oh, sure. As I wind down from the job, I begin to see these things more clearly. And privacy is what police spend their entire lives stomping on and riding roughshod over. Very, very soon, you lose the whole concept of it. Privacy? Say what? No. What's bothering me, I think, is the stuff about my childhood, as if, given that, there could be no other outcome. Here are two related things I have to set down. First is the reason why I love Colonel Tom. Not the reason exactly, but the moment I knew it to be file murder up in the 99. A dead baby in a picnic cooler. Talk of drug wars and race riots. Media up the kazoo. I was passing his office and I heard him on the phone. Lieutenant Rockwell, as he then was, on the phone to the mayor. And I heard him say, very deliberate, my Mike Houlihan is going to come and straighten this out. I'd heard him use that parlance before. My Keith Booker, my Old Tano boy. It was just the way he said it. My Mike Houlihan is going to come and straighten this out. I went into the toilet and bawled. Then I went and straightened out the murder in the 99. The second thing is this. My father messed with me when I was a child, out in Moon Park, yeah. He used to fuck me, okay? Started when I was 7 and it stopped when I was 10. I made up my mind that after I hit double figures, it just wasn't going to happen. To this end, I grew the fingernails of my right hand. I sharpened them also, and hardened them with vinegar. This growing, this sharpening, this hardening. This was the reality of my resolve. On the morning after my birthday, he came at me in my bedroom, and I almost ripped his fucking face off. I did. I had the fucking thing in my hand like a Halloween mask. I had it by the temple, just above the eye, and I sensed that with one more rip, I could find out who my father really was. Then my mother woke up. We were never a model unit, the Houlihans. By noon that same day, we ceased to exist. I'm what they call state-raised. I was fostered some, but basically I'm state-raised. And as a child, I always tried to love the state the way you'd love a parent, and I gave it 100%. I've never wanted a kid. What I've wanted is a father. So how do we all stand now that Colonel Tom doesn't have a daughter? At 7:45, I called downtown. Johnny Mac, Mr. Whip on the midnights, which would now be falling apart. I asked him to have Silvera or whoever run a make on Arnold Debs. I dug out my list, stressors and precipitants, yeah. Tell me about it. I crossed out 2, money. And I crossed out 6, deep secret, trauma, childhood. This doesn't leave me with much. Today I'm doing 3, job, and tonight I'm doing Mr. 7. The 80 billion year heartbeat. Jennifer Rockwell, to say it all in one go, worked in the Department of Terrestrial Magnetism at the Institute of Physical Problems. The institute lies well north of campus, in the foothills of Mount Lee, where the old observatory looms. What you do is, you take the MIE around CSU, skirting Lawnwood, and spend 20 minutes stuck in the Sutton Bay tailback. The Sutton Bay tailback, another excellent reason for blowing your brains out. Then you park the car and walk toward a low array of wood-clad buildings, expecting to be met by a forest ranger or a Boy Scout or a chipmunk. Here comes Chip. Here comes Dale. Here comes Woody Woodpecker, wearing a reversed baseball cap. The Department of Terrestrial Magnetism has the following words scrolled into the wall of its entrance corridor. Egritis sicut Dei scientes bonum et malum. I got a translation from a kid who was passing. And you will be like gods, knowing good and evil. That's Genesis, isn't it? And isn't it what the serpent says? Whenever I've been out to CSU, For a criminology lecture, an OD, a student suicide around exam time, I've always had the same feeling. I think it's a drag not being young, but at least I don't have to take a test tomorrow morning. Another thing I notice at the Institute of Physical Problems is that someone has changed all the rules of attraction. Sexual allure is a physical problem that the students are no longer addressing. In my day at the academy, the women were all tits and ass and the men were all dick and bicep. Now the student body has no body. Now it's strictly Sloppy Joe. I'm identified and greeted in the corridor by Jennifer's department head. His name is Bax Denziger, and he's big in his discipline. He's big, all right, not a joist splitter like my Tobe, but your regular bearish, bearded, flame-eyed, slobbermouth type with, you can bet, an inch-thick pelt all over his back. Yeah, one of those guys who's basically all bush. The little gap around the nose is the only clearing in the rainforest. He takes me into his office where I feel I'm surrounded by enormous quantities of information, all of it available, summonable, fingertip. He gives me coffee. I imagine asking permission to smoke and imagine the way he'd say no, totally relaxed about it. I repeat that I'm conducting an informal inquiry into Jennifer's death, prompted by Colonel and Mrs. Rockwell. Off the record, but is it okay if I use a tape recorder? Yes. He waves a hand in the air. Bax Denziger, incidentally, is famous. TV famous. I know stuff about him. He has a twin-prop airplane and a second home in Aspen. He's a skier and a mountaineer. He used to lift weights for the state. And I don't mean in prison. 3 or 4 years ago, he fronted a series on Channel 13 called The Evolution of the Universe. And they have him on the news magazine shows whenever something gives in his field. Bax here is a skilled communicator who talks in paragraphs as if to camera. And that's pretty much how I'm going to present it. The technical language should be right because I had Tobe run it by his computer. I kicked off by asking him what Jennifer did all day. Would he please describe her work? Certainly. In a department like ours, you have 3 kinds of people. People in white coats who man the labs and the computers. People like Jennifer, postdocs, maybe assistant professors, who order the people in white coats around. And then people like yours truly. I order everyone around. Each day we have a ton of data coming in which has to be checked and processed, which has to be reduced. That was Jennifer's job. She was also working on some leads herself. As of last fall, she was working on the Milky Way's Virgo infall velocity. I asked him, could you be more specific? I am being specific. Perhaps I should be more general. Like everyone else here, she was working on questions having to do with the age of the universe, a highly controversial and competitive field, a cutthroat field. We're looking at the rate of expansion of the universe, the rate of the deceleration of that expansion, and the total mass density parameter, respectively in shorthand, Hubble's constant, Q0, and dark matter. We're asking if the universe is open or closed. I look at you, detective, and I see a resident of the naked eye universe. I'm sure you don't bother too much with this stuff. I said, well, no, seem to make do okay without it, but please. What we see out there, the stars, the galaxies, the galaxy clusters and superclusters, that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just the snowcap on the mountain. At least 90% of the universe consists of dark matter, and we don't know what the dark matter is, nor what it adds up to. If the total mass density is below a certain critical point, the universe will expand forever. The heavens will just go on getting emptier. If the total mass density is above a certain critical point, then gravity will eventually overcome expansion, and the universe will start to contract, from Big Bang to Big Crunch. Then, who knows, Big Bang, and so on. What has been called the 80 billion year heartbeat. I'm trying to give you an idea of the kinds of things Jennifer thought about. I asked him if Jennifer actually went up in the telescope much. He smiled indulgently. Bubble, bubble, Hoyle and Hubble. Alan Sandage needs a bandage. Ah, the cage at midnight with your flask, your parka, your leather ass, and your iron bladder. The seeing, detective. Excuse me, the what? The seeing. The seeing? Actually, it's a word we still use. The quality of the image having to do with the clarity of the sky. The truth is, detective, we don't do much seeing anymore. It's all pixels and fiber optics and CCDs. We're down at the business end of it with the computers. I asked him the simple question. I asked him if Jennifer was happy in her work. I'll say, Jennifer Rockwell was an inspiration to us all. She had terrific esprit. Persistent, tough, fair, Above all, tough. In every respect, her intellect was tough. Women. Let me rephrase this. Maybe not at the Nobel level, but cosmology is a field where women have made lasting contributions. Jennifer had a reasonable shot at adding to that. I asked if she had an unorthodox side, a mystical side. I said, you guys are scientists, but some of you end up getting religion, right? There's something in that. Knowing the mind of God and so on, you're certainly affected by the incredible grandeur and complexity of revealed creation. But don't lose sight of the fact that it's reality we're investigating here. These things we're studying are very strange and very distant, but they're as real as the ground beneath your feet. The universe is everything religions are supposed to be, and then some. Weird, beautiful, terrifying, but the universe is the case. Now, there are people around here who pride themselves on saying, all this is just a physics problem, that's all. But Jennifer was more romantic than that. She was grander than that. Romantic how? She didn't feel marginalized, as some of us can do. She felt that this was a central human activity and that her work was pro bono. She felt that very strongly. Excuse me, the study of stars is pro bono? Now, I'm going to speak with some freedom and optimism here. All set? In broad terms, it makes sense to argue that the Renaissance and the Enlightenment were partly powered by the discoveries of Copernicus and Galileo, and Brahe and Kepler and others. You'd think that it would be desolating to learn that the Earth was merely a satellite of the sun, and that you'd lost your place at the center of the universe. But it wasn't. On the contrary, it was energizing, inspiring, liberating. It felt great to be in possession of a truth denied to each and every one of your ancestors. We don't act like we know it, but we're now on the edge of an equivalent paradigm shift, or a whole series of them. The universe was still the size of your living room until the big telescopes came along. Now we have an idea of just how fragile and isolated our situation really is, and I believe, as Jennifer did, that when all this kicks in, this information that's only 60 or 70 years old, we'll have a very different view of our place and purpose here. And all this rat race, turf war, dog-eat-dog stuff we do all day will be revealed for what it is. The revolution is coming, detective, and it's a revolution of consciousness. That's what Jennifer believed. But you were fucking her, weren't you, Professor? And you wouldn't leave Betty Jean. I didn't actually say that last part, though I kind of wanted to by then. One of the things I knew about Bax Denziger, he's a 12 kids and one wife kind of guy. Still, for all his TVEs and brightness and his high saliva enthusiasm, I sensed uneasiness in him, reluctance, qualms. There was something he did and didn't want to reveal, and I too was in difficulty. I was having to relate his universe to mine, having to because Jennifer had linked them. And how about my universe, also real, also there, also the case, and with all its primitive passions? To him, my average day must look like psychotic soap opera, crazed surface activity. Jennifer Rockwell had moved from one world to the other, from revealed creation to the darkness of her bedroom. I pressed on, hoping that he and I, both, would find the necessary words. Professor, were you surprised when you heard? Consternated, we all are consternated and devastated. Ask anybody here, the cleaning ladies, the deans, that someone of such radiance would choose to extinguish herself. I can't get my head around it. I really can't. She ever get depressed that you knew of? Mood swings? Withdrawal? No, she was unfailingly cheerful. She got frustrated sometimes, we all do, because we're permanently on the brink of climax. We know so much, but there are holes in our knowledge bigger than the Buddh's void. Which is, it's more nothing than you could possibly imagine. It's a cavity 300 million light years deep, where there's zip. The truth is, detective, the truth is that human beings are not sufficiently evolved to understand the place they're living in. We're all retards. Einstein's a retard. I'm a retard. We live on a planet of retards. Jennifer say that? Yeah, but she also thought that that was what was so great about it, beating your head against the lid. She talked about death, didn't she? She talked to you about death? No. Yes, well, not habitually. But we did have a discussion about death quite recently. It's been in my head. I've been playing it back, like you do. I'm not sure if this thought was original to her, probably not. But she put it memorably. Newton, Isaac Newton, used to stare at the sun. He'd blind himself for days, for weeks, staring at the sun, trying to figure the sun out. Jennifer, she was sitting right there where you're sitting, and she quoted some aphorism. Some French guy, some duke, went something like, "No man can stare at the sun or at death with an unshielded eye." Now here's the interesting part. Do you know who Stephen Hawking is, Detective? He's the guy in the wheelchair, talks like a robot. And do you know what a black hole is, Detective? Yeah, I think we all have some idea. Jennifer asked me, why was it Hawking who cracked black holes? I mean, in the 60s, everybody was going at black holes, hammer and tongs, but it was Stephen who gave us some answers. She said, why him? And I gave the physicist's answer because he's the smartest guy around. But Jennifer wanted me to consider an explanation that was more romantic. She said, Hawking understood black holes because he could stare at them. Black holes mean oblivion, mean death. And Hawking has been staring at death all his adult life. Hawking could see. Well, I thought, that isn't it. Just then, Denziger looked at his watch with what seemed like irritation or anxiety. I said quickly, the revolution you talked about, of consciousness, would there be casualties? I heard the door open. A broad in a black sweatsuit was standing there miming a phone call. When I turned again, Denziger was still looking at me. He said, I guess it wouldn't necessarily be bloodless. I have to talk to Hawaii now. Yeah, well, I'm in no hurry. I'm going to smoke a cigarette out on the steps there. Maybe if you get a moment, you'll walk me to my car. And I reached for the tape recorder and keyed the pause. With my arms folded to promote warmth and thought, I stood on the steps looking at the quality of life. Jennifer's life. Jennifer's life. The fauna of early spring, birds, squirrels, even rabbits. And the agitated physicists, the little dweebs and nerds and wonks. A white sky giving way to pixels of blue and containing both sun and moon, which she knew all about. Yes, and Trader, on the other side of the green hill. I could get used to this. The naked eye universe, the seeing, the 80 billion year heartbeat. On the night she died, the sky was so clear, the seeing was so clear. But the naked eye isn't good enough and needs assistance. In her bedroom on the evening of March 4th, Jennifer Rockwell conducted an experiment with time. She took 50 years and squeezed them into a few seconds. In moments of extreme crisis, time slows anyway. Calm chemicals come from the brain to the body to help it through to the other side. How slowly time would have passed. She must have felt it. Jennifer must have felt it. The 80 billion year heartbeat.